Hello everyone, I'm going to be making the Ultimate Wizard Guide, how to build, what you should be doing, what perks you should be running, and the gear that you want to try building for the class. There's a lot of changes, there's some new perks that were added, some nerfs, some balancing. I'm going to be making a guide to tell you exactly how I build, what I go for, and I suggest that you look in the timestamp below in case you want to skip parts. Like let's say you already have your build and you just want to know how to gear up on a wizard, then that would help you save a lot of time. I just want to preface this by saying this is going to be a 10 spell guide. This build works for trios and solos as well. However, I mainly play trios, so this is where I'm coming from, at least from a build standpoint. Whenever I start out, the first perk that I'm always going to choose is going to be Arcane Mastery. This makes it so casting your missiles and your invis is almost instant and really gives you an advantage whenever targets that come into melee range of you try to just W key you and you actually have a response to that. Whereas if you don't have this, then you can find yourself in some really sticky situations early on. So after equipping Arcane Mastery, the next one that I'm going to 100% recommend, especially if you're playing on a 10 spell build, is going to be the Sage perk. This is going to give you a 10% knowledge bonus. This is super good early on. You're going to be able to hold a lot more spells in your arsenal and be able to cast earlier on as well as later on. It scales very well. You try to build to 45 knowledge or in that area anyways. So this Sage spell is the next one that I like to equip. It's really good, super important in my opinion, and scales really well later on. Going forward, the next perk, especially for trios that I'm going to 100% recommend that you use, is Fire Mastery. This perk is totally broken. You're giving 50% anti-heal to a target that you inflict with burns. So that could be fireballs or zaps. And essentially, not only are you getting that anti-heal, which is super important, you're also going to get just 5% extra fire damage bonus to your spells, which is a very nice thing to have. And finally, there's a lot of debate between the Ice Mastery perk and the Ice Shield perk. I'm just going to go ahead and squash this right now. I'm going to say Ice Shield is better than Ice Mastery. Ice Mastery, for those of you that don't know, it basically roots a target if you hit them with an Ice Bolt. So you have 5 potential roots in your arsenal, and apart from that, those are actually only working whenever the target is on the ground. So if they're floating in the air at all, let's say they're midair, they're jumping, or they're falling, it's not actually going to root them, and it essentially makes this null. Whereas the Ice Shield, if you're in a situation where somebody's chasing you, and it's life or death, and you get hit once, this basically guarantees you a getaway where you can reposition with invis and get out of the situation. It is on a 5-second CD, and it's definitely worth it. I think this is way better than Ice Mastery. It's more reliable, and apart from that, it's going to just net you more survivability longer term. So I'm just going to say this right now. I would go Ice Shield. So getting into spell memory priority, I'm going to be choosing Fireball, Zap, Missiles, Invis, Light Orb, Slow, and then Chain Lightning. The reason I don't choose these 3 is because they're fairly low cost, lower end, and once you get those early games and you get a little bit of knowledge, it's super easy to unlock them. But if you're just playing base kit, these spells are more important than these 3, and it allows you to have a lot more spells in your book. So you're getting 7 spells versus if I were to take, for example, 2 of these and then have to, leave out Chain, which in my opinion is really good, especially for trios. Obviously, depending on what you play, you can swap this out. However, the reason I choose these spells is because that's just, the way it fits my playstyle. The reason why I get Explosion now instead of Lightning Strike, I'm going to let this clip play out for you, and I'll be back and sort of go over it. But I have to show you it. Come here. Like if I aim it on this little nub right here, right? Like stand next to the nub. Like you're in my zone right there. Look. Yeah. Doesn't hit you. Okay, yeah. Fully bugged. Now, as you can see, Lightning Strike is bugged. It's still been bugged. And even in the most recent patch, it is still bugged, unfortunately. So it's just really not worth taking. Anybody that knows that you can just jump Lightning Strike will just instinctively jump it nowadays. And it's really low value. Whereas Explosion is an extra spell that works with Fire Mastery. So if you do manage to really be on the verge of losing, you can pull out Explosion and anti-heal somebody, use it as sort of like a zap. Or if you really want to, I've seen a lot of people swap it for Ignite, for example. If you prefer Ignite over Explosion and you like to send in your teammates and you like to play sort of a buff ball comp, Ignite is a very, very viable option. and still works really, really well. Now I'm going to start talking about how I actually build a wizard set. Obviously, I'm talking higher end of the scale here, but all of this still applies to the lower end of the scale. These are all roles that you're looking for. I'm going to be talking about exactly whether you should choose true or additional damage, and I will just basically explain all of that to you guys so you don't even need to worry about doing the calculations and whatnot yourself. Getting into it, I'm just going to be starting out talking about the debate between should I use additional or should I use true. Now, the main difference between true and additional damage is that one of them is only applying fully and unedited towards the end of your damage, and the other one gets modified by limbs. Magic power bonus does not affect either of the two stats. They're all added at the end of the equation that involves magic power bonus. The only thing that affects is limb damage, and that is only on additional. Regardless of that, in today's meta, it is always going to be better for you to choose true damage over additional. True damage is just overall going to be better for you. Additional scales with sweet spots and sour spots, so you can actually get damage drop off for that. And apart from that, the net gain that you would get from headshotting somebody would actually not really even outweigh the true damage if, for example, that player has 20% MDR, which a lot of people are running nowadays. A lot of people build MDR passively. Barbarians have a perk, Warlocks have a perk. So true damage is really going to be essential for you to fight against those classes and be able to hold your own. Otherwise, you're just going to get rolled by them and do no damage, even if you have additional. So I would say on the pieces that you can get it, like for example the rings, you're always going to want true damage on those. And obviously if you can find a legendary plus Phoenix Choker, or even purple is fine, like anything with true damage is going to be the best, including your cape as well. I always build true damage. True damage is 100% better than additional. Now, moving on to the lower half of your body, talking about boots and leggings, I try and always build as much movement speed as possible on these two items. Considering these two, along with jewelry, are the only two items in the game that you can roll substantial movement speed rolls on, excluding, of course, the cape as well, you always want to try and build as much movement speed on these two leggings as you possibly can. On top of that, magic power, HP, and other rolls such as knowledge are also good. However, in this instance, at this high end of gear, you definitely want to try and build as much HP and movement speed, considering knowledge and will are already going to be calculated into your gear itself. As for the gloves, same thing here. We want magic power and we want max HP. Those are going to be the main rolls that we're looking for on these items. Going onto your chest plate, this is the exact same thing. You want to try and get as much magic power, as much knowledge, as much max HP as you can, and just try and min-max those stats till you can get something you want. For example, if I go over here and I look for a chest plate that I have, this one as well is very acceptable. Obviously, you know, knowledge, max HP, magic damage bonus, those are all rules that you're going to be looking for whenever you're building on a chest plate. And on the helmet as well, you want to get true magical damage, just like we talked about, max HP, knowledge, and those are going to be sort of your perk prios. Now, down below, I'm going to put a little text, and I'll show exactly how I build. So that's going to be my process when deciding what perks I actually take, and that should also help you whenever you're looking through the marketplace. As for the sword, the crystal sword rolls don't really matter. Obviously, you can try and, you know, get a better one, but as long as it's a purple crystal sword with any roll on it, you know, you just need it to clear PvE. It's not super important. As for the book, this one you want to get as much max HP and as much magic damage as you can. So obviously, like a 6 magic power, 6 max HP, 5% max HP bonus, and 6% magic damage bonus book is going to be this. Now, this book is very, very close to it, but it's not there yet. However, obviously, you know, you're just trying to stack HP, movement speed, and magic power. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this guide was helpful for you. Obviously, I know there's a lot of debate between perks and skills and spell selection, but hopefully this makes you make a more educated decision on what kind of perks you're going to run and what spells you take and what gear you run. And if there's anything else that you would like me to answer, please let me know in the comments down below. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comments down below. If there's anything else that you would like me to add on to this, or if you have any questions about how I build or anything that I might have missed, don't hesitate to ask. I'll answer everything. And yeah, have a nice day.